Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Ma'am,
Sir, am I audible, sir?
yes, ma'am, you are audible, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Can you turn on your video?
Yes,
Okay.
am I visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So shall
Can
I
you...
share the screen and just give you,
Yes,
show
ma'am.
you the presentation?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Sir, good morning, sir. You have made me the co-host, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I have made you.
Okay, okay, fine, sir. I'll do that. Go for first. Is my screen visible, sir? Is my screen visible, sir?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
It is visible? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sir, I would like to, request you to do one thing, sir. So these windows over here, can you hide these windows because it will just spoil the entire, the presentation. It comes in the way of the presentation. I think this could be, we could hide it. Where is this option of hiding?
Hide video panel. In the top, you can able to find a few options.
But I want to hide everything. I think that has to be done from your end, sir. I cannot do it from here. I can hide only my window, but all the other windows, I think you have to do it from your end, sir. I cannot do it.
If you made this to be a full screen, you can able to do that, ma'am.
Let's see if it's full screen, if I can do it. No,
You
because
change that to full screen. Double click on the icon.
double click where?
In the screen, in the center.
Okay.
I hope it's...
No. Oh, sir, I cannot hide this. And that causes disturbance actually, sir. Anyway, I'll stop sharing. If you can hide it from your end.
I don't see any option there. Actually, I cannot able to find. Ma'am, we will start the program exactly by 10:30. Participant, kindly wait. We'll start the program exactly by 10:30.
By 10:30 we'll start, na, sir? Exactly 10:30?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'll just come. I'll just.
Okay. Good morning, participants. Kindly ask your colleagues and friends to join. We'll start the program shortly.
A fabulous good morning to one and all gathered here. I hope my voice is audible. Thank you, ma'am. A fabulous morning to the elite gathering of today. Research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. Research without study is lame, and study without research is blind. Here we are here for the one-day national workshop on writing research funding proposal and patent filing in English language and literature, organized by the School of Liberal Arts, Department of English, KPR College of Arts, Science and Research. I heartily welcome you all. I heartily welcome our beloved principal, head of the Department of English, my colleagues, learned faculty members, learned scholars, enthusiastic students of research. Leadership is the ability to guide others without force into a direction or decision that makes them still feel empowered and accomplished. Now, I invite Mr. K. Vijay Kumar to deliver the welcome address. Please, sir.
Camera தெரியுது பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. A very splendid morning to you all. With the blessings of Dr. K.P. Ramasamy sir, the chairman of our KPR group, I cordially welcome you all to this national workshop. First of all, I would like to welcome Dr. S. Balusamy sir, the principal of our college, who has been a supporting force for all of our endeavors. I welcome you, sir. Next, I would like to welcome Dr. S. Ramachandran sir, the advisor of who has been an energetic force for all our activities put forth for the progressive. Next, I would like to welcome all the deans, head of the departments, and all the faculty members, and my dear department faculty members and participants from all over the India. I particularly welcome the research scholars, research guides, and all the faculty fraternity from English department and students for your active participation. Once again, I welcome you all for this national workshop on writing research funding proposal and patent filing in English language and literature. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Here we have amongst us a very highly privileged person. We are really privileged to have you among us, ma'am. Dr. Malavika P. Sharma. She is a professional ELT trainer. She is at present working at Pillai Engineering College, New Panvel, Mumbai. And she had successfully received and completed her project proposal and received funds not once but twice. We are immensely happy that you are sharing the knowledge with us, ma'am. We welcome you for the presentation, ma'am.
Yeah,
We
thank
are
you.
eagerly waiting for your presentation, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good morning, dear participants. I would like to thank Dr. Kritigani Madam for giving me this opportunity to share my ideas, my thoughts with you all. And my sincere thanks to the principal of KPR College for extending his warm invitation to participate in this national workshop. And also, last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants for taking the time out and being a part of this national workshop. So with this, I would like to share my screen. Kindly give me the confirmation if my screen is visible. So I'll be sharing my screen now. I'll be turning off my video because I want all of you to have a good view of the slides or the points that I'll be sharing with you. So since, I have got this funding from IC, Indian Council of Social Science Research, New Delhi. So whatever proposal I had written, I'll be sharing, the sample proposal with you all. So therefore, I would like all of you to concentrate on the sample proposal, and therefore I'll be turning off my video while giving my presentation. I'll be sharing my screen right now. So kindly give me the confirmation if my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am, your screen is visible, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So for today's talk, I'll be dealing with two topics. That is, number one is a writing proposal for research funding. And the second topic is the factors that are important to keep in mind while filing a patent. Now, since these two topics are not very closely related, so I'll be dividing my session into two parts. So first part, I will talk about how to write a research proposal, which is meant for funding. So here I begin with this writing proposal for research funding. So before even we start understanding what are the key elements required to write a research proposal, so we need to find out or understand the concept of what is a proposal. So I would like to take you to the concept of proposal. So a proposal is a plan or suggestion or an idea that is shared with people so that they can put a thought to it and also take action on it. Then the proposal is actually meant for acceptance or rejection. I think we all know that. So now I would say, based on this definition, that there are two types of proposal. So one could be related to a formal proposal. So a formal proposal could be in the form of a business proposal, or it could be in the form of an academic proposal. So a business proposal is written in order to give they're basically written to clients or to service providers, to buyers, because in order to give certain solutions to them. But a research proposal or an academic proposal is written to a particular agency, whereby the academician tries to take up this proposal as a research project, and thereby they are trying to actually convince a supervisor or academic committee about the topic and the approach, whether the topic and the approach is sound, so that the approval is gained in order to proceed with the actual research. So we can understand that whether it is a business proposal or it is the academic proposal, so both of them require that we follow a particular format. So we have to be very particular about the format. We have to be very strict about following the format. And we also need to understand the format very clearly so that we do not make an error while trying to write a proposal, a formal proposal. So now the next type of proposal is, of course, an informal proposal where there is no format that is followed, and moreover, it is oral in nature. So these informal proposals actually, as they do not follow any particular format. So therefore, they are very easy, of course. They do not require so much dedication as a formal proposal is required. So for example, when a boy asks a girl to marry him, so that is an example of an informal proposal. So for my today's talk, I will be dealing with formal proposals, and particularly I'll be talking about academic proposals. So let us start by first understanding the different types of academic proposals. Now, the different types of academic proposals could be, number one, it could be internal in nature. So as an academician, if I belong to an institute, so I can identify a problem in the institute itself, and then I can give I can submit a proposal, or I can give a solution to a particular proposal, to a particular problem that I've identified. So it could be also external. So as an academician, we need to write proposals to different agencies that are available in the organization. And these external proposals are basically meant so that the academician gets a funding for these proposals. Excuse me, sorry, I'm stopping here. There is some window that is coming here. I actually requested you all that I don't want this window. If you can hide this window, that is creating disturbance. And throughout the presentation, it will be creating disturbance over here because it is right on the top of the title of the slide. So it is also showing, please move this window away from. So if that can be moved away, so it will be much better because it is causing disturbance. Yes, I hope it doesn't pop in, later on while I'm giving my talk. Again, it has come, sir. So if you could please look into the matter, because these windows are really disturbing. It is spoiling, the visibility of the slides, of the content that I want all the participants to clearly see what I have written.
Ma'am, we are able to see the full screen, ma'am.
But there is a window that is showing, please move this window away from what? What is this window that is coming over here that I don't understand? I cannot do anything. From my end, I cannot do anything.
Okay.
Because that is right on top of the title of the slide.
Okay, ma'am. Just a moment.
Yeah. Madam, is it possible to remove that? If it could just be removed towards the side, I don't know what type of window is this. I've never come across in any presentations, but then I find it rather strange, because if we could remove it to one particular to one side, then it's absolutely fine with me. Okay. Anyway, madam, I think I will continue, because I don't think you are able to do anything about it. It keeps popping in from time to time. Shall I continue, ma'am? Hello, ma'am. Shall I continue?
Ma'am, you can continue, ma'am.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think you will be able to remove that window. It should have been
Yes,
done.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Yes.
we will sort out, ma'am.
In
Sort out the
case you have
problem, ma'am.
any problems in seeing the points, that I have written, please do let me know. I will read out the
Okay, ma'am.
points to you all. If in any case
Okay,
you're not
ma'am.
able to read the points, okay, I'm so sorry for the pause that I have taken. Anyway, so we'll talk
Okay, ma'am.
about
No
the
issue, ma'am.
yeah, okay. So we'll talk about the types of academic proposals. So academic proposals could be internal as well as external. Internal, when we identify a problem within the organization or the institution and try to find solution to the problem identified. And we write a proposal, of course, to the head of the institution. So that becomes an internal proposal. External, when we write proposals to organizations or to agencies outside the institution in order to seek funds for completing a research or proceeding with a research work or completing a project. So internal or external, whether it is internal or external, proposals could be further divided into solicited proposal, where the customers or the particular agency, they give the needs, what are the needs, and they also try to advertise in the form of verbal advertisement, or it could be to the various media outlets. They could advertise that they require a proposal, that they want proposals from academicians, so that they can give fund to the academicians to pursue their research work. The unsolicited proposal, on the other hand, they are basically initiated by the academician himself or herself, because he or she wants to sell his or her idea, or maybe his or her services, and on the basis of the problem identified, tries to explain the problem to the organization or to the agency, and thereby tries to sell his idea or sell his product. So nevertheless, the purpose of all proposals is to convince others that your idea is worth for implementation. So first, I'll be dealing with the solicited proposal, and then I will talk about the unsolicited proposal. So I'm not going into the internal and external part, because whether it is internal or external, solicited proposals are always, given, by the customers themselves or by the particular agency. In an internal proposal, of course, it could be given by the head of the institution. So the demand for writing a proposal. So therefore, we are going to talk about solicited proposal in general. And so I'll be discussing about the prerequisites of the solicited proposal. So the first prerequisite is that the customer should ask for a proposal. Then the customer should issue and request for proposal form. And then also there should be an extensive description that is necessary, for us to give to the customer, for the academician to give to the customer. And the customer seeks an extensive description because he or she should be able to understand, what is the problem that has been identified and what is the solution to that problem. So the solution has to be clearly explained, and it has to be justified also by talking about the scope of the solution and so on. So the format is also given by the customer, and moreover, the evaluation criteria is also stated. So it becomes very easy for the academician to write a proposal, a solicited proposal. So the solicited proposal that we actually write for the purpose of getting funds from the agency, and it becomes easier when all these things are specified by the customer or by the agency. So now let us move on to the next aspect, that is, what are the different types of solicited proposals. Now, when we are talking about the different types, the first type is the request for proposal, which is meant for academicians actually. So therefore, this request for proposal, as I told you, is the directions are given about the proposal directions are given by the customer himself or herself, and the specification of customer needs are also given, and of course the evaluation criteria is also given. But the customer himself is not sure as to what solution he is looking for. So he is open to the different solution, but he's not specific about it. He does not have any specific demands about a particular solution. So since he is not sure of, therefore, the scope of this kind of proposal is very vague. But nevertheless, it is easy for the academicians to write this proposal because they have flexibility in coming up with innovative and creative ideas in trying to give the solution to the agency. Then the next is the request for quotation. The request for quotation is actually deals with the cost of the product. And here the customer, they're very clear about the scope because they know the product very well, what kind of product they are looking for. Only thing they want to find out, which is the best price for the particular product. And accordingly, they will select the quotation, they will select the proposal. So this proposal will give more importance to the cost of the data by giving, lot of information about the product and the specifications of the product and the cost associated with those specifications. So it will not deal with, the customer needs so much, but there could be brief narratives addressing the customer needs as well. And then next is the request for bid. This is a highly competitive proposal where there is, the contracts are given on the basis of the price that is quoted by the person. So therefore, this type of proposals, they focus on the price of the product, and accordingly, the contracts are given or the proposal is accepted. So this is highly competitive in nature. Then comes the request for information. Now, there could be certain, manufacturers who would like to request, certain agencies or the customers themselves as to what are their own requirements or what are they looking for. So therefore, it is a marketing strategy, I would say. And so they would like to find out from the customer about the type of product they are interested in, about the services that they would like the company to provide them, and of course the vendors from where they would buy that particular product. So therefore, this kind of information, when it is obtained in the form of writing a proposal, it gives better possibility for the manufacturer to come up with a product that satisfies the needs of the customer. So today's, you can all see that request for quotation, request for bid, and request for information, they are all related to business proposals. So here I'm going to talk about request for proposal, RFP, which is related to an academic proposal. And so I will be giving you the format of writing a solicited RFP proposal. So let us go on and try to understand the parts of a proposal. So here we'll divide the proposal into 3 parts. So part 1, I'll be dealing with the cover page, title page, executive summary, and the table of contents. The part 2 I'll be dealing with the introduction, a problem statement, background, and methodology. Part 3, I'll be dealing with the resources, personnel, budget, and references. So the part 1 is also called as the front matter of the proposal. The part 2 is called as the main part of the proposal or the core part of the proposal, and part 3 is called as the back matter of the proposal. Now, what the funding agencies are interested in is the main part of the proposal. So they look into the main part of the proposal very thoroughly because there, the problem is identified by the academician, and the solution is also well explained by the academician, and the justification is also provided. So therefore, that constitutes the main part of the proposal, and as such, they give a lot of importance to the main part because a better understanding of the problem and the solution is possible by reading the main part. Now, it doesn't mean that the front matter and the back matter is not useful. The front matter and the back matter is equally important. We can say they are actually the ornaments of the main part of the proposal. So because they actually help the reader to get an impression of what the proposal is like, whether the proposal is structured, whether it is organized, whether it is logically arranged. All these factors can be determined by looking at the front matter and the back matter. So they are equally important for writing a proposal. So we'll be dealing with each of these parts in greater detail, so we understand what to include in all these 3 parts. So I will start with part 1. So let me take you to the cover page. So here I have a sample cover page over here. So in this cover page, you can become creative, but then we have to be very particular that we are not going to use our creativity to deviate from the main aspect of the proposal. So main aspect of the proposal is to convince the person that to accept a solution, to accept to understand the problem that we have identified and to accept a solution. So that is a main purpose. So the main purpose should not be a lot of colors or a lot of pictures, when we are writing the cover page. So we have to be very particular that we need to include the name of the institution, the logo of the institution, and the name of the institution from where the proposal is being sent to the agency. And then we have to write the date and for whom the proposal is related to. So we have to write Indian Council of Social Science Research. I have written that because I have got funding from Indian Council of Social Science Research for 2 of my proposals. So therefore I have written this. So this is all about the cover page. And then let us move on to the title page now. Now the title page will consist something like this, where we are going to write the proposed title. Now when we write the proposed title, we have to take into consideration the independent variable and the dependent variable. So we should be able to identify what is the independent variable in the topic that we have selected or in the problem that we have identified, and what is the dependent variable. So in this particular topic title that I have written, the independent variable is games and the dependent variable is the achievement of the students, of the undergraduate students of engineering. So in the topic itself, I'm being very clear that I am going to introduce games, and it is going to be introduced to the undergraduate students of engineering. So it becomes absolutely clear whether it is my study is something new, or my study is going to have an impact on the students. So all these things is clear in the title of the proposal. And then comes the agency to whom you are submitting. So we also need to mention to whom we are submitting the proposal, and then we also need to mention who is writing the proposal, who is the principal investigator of the proposal, and the affiliating institute, name of the affiliating institute. So this should go along with the title page. And now we have to also select a particular font style and a font size in order to suit the entire title page, so that there is no it should not be too much of empty space left at the bottom, or too much of space that is left at the top. That should be aligned properly. So now let us move on to the executive summary. The executive summary is the third part of part 1 of the front matter. So the executive summary should be actually dealt with points related to the significance or need of the work. That is, why am I writing? Why have I mentioned about this proposal? What is the need of the proposal? And then the how will I go about trying to complete my research work, or trying to go ahead with my research work. And of course, then I will also talk about the potential impact of the work. So I'm going to answer questions like why, how, and what in my executive summary. So I'll give you an example of the executive summary so you can see it for yourself. So here I have indicated which is the why part, how part, and the what part. So I'll just quickly read it. So here in the first sentence, I have said that it is essential that we need to communicate in English. It is a global requirement. But what is observed is that the students are unable to communicate in real life situation, and also they are unable to think independently. And the reasons could be the way the information is imparted in the class. So the teacher, normally takes control of the class and is considered to be the primary source of providing information. So there is hardly any involvement of the students, while the communication takes place in the class, while the teacher is imparting information. So therefore, this is one of the problems that I have identified, and the significance of this study is to find out, solution to this particular problem that I have identified. And so how it can be done, I have tried to say this, that, 3 distinct categories of games will be designed through information gap, reasoning gap, and through the opinion gap. And this can be woven into the teaching content and delivered for a period of 1 year. At the end of each semester, Our feedback can be taken from the learners in the form of one-to-one interviews, or it can be taken in the form of a test that is conducted, and it can be quantified. So according to the feedback, it will be ascertained whether all the games introduced were engaging and effective in terms of learners' participation, or the games, therefore will serve the dual purpose of engaging the learners academically and also help them to overcome writing difficulties, think independently, and become more confident in communicating in real life situations. So I have given you the why the significance of the study is necessary, how I'll be going ahead with this study, and what will be the implications or potential implications of this study. So this is how an executive summary should be written. And then next we move on to the table of contents. Now in the table of contents, you can see this example over here. So as you can see that I have included all the aspects that I have written in the proposal in the table of contents. So I have to keep in mind that all topics should be mentioned in the table of contents, including the table of contents itself also should be mentioned. Moreover, the front matter, all the elements in the front matter, that is the cover page, title page, executive summary, and the table of contents, is written in the Roman numerals, whereas the main matter and the back matter is written in the Arabic numerals. And so we have to also see that this table of contents, we maintain the numbering classification. So for example, if you can see over here, I have written number 1 as introduction. You can see over here, number 1 is introduction. Now the subtopics that is included in introduction, those subtopics have to be numbered accordingly. So it has to be numbered as 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and so on, as you can see it for yourself. And this numbering is very important to maintain a consistency in this numbering, because if you do not maintain consistency, it can be very confusing for the readers. So in order to avoid such confusion, we have to be very particular about the numbering and classification. So I would suggest that if there are subsections, we should avoid using this numbering, the classification. We can then move on to the bullet forms. That is, when we write the subtopics, we can use the bullet points rather than use the numbering system, because that could be further confusing for the readers. So now let us find out what could be, as you can see, the subtopics that I have written in the sentence case, and the main topic I have written, the chapter heading, I have written in the all capital letters. So this, like uniformity has to be maintained throughout when we write the table of contents. Now let us find out, what could be the main purpose of writing a table of contents. The main purpose is that it makes a good impression. So the moment, the receivers, they read they read the proposal goes to them. First of all, they will see the table of contents, because they want to see whether we have organized our ideas, systematically, or whether we are able to, like separate, the introduction from the background or the literature review and the research methodology. That is very important. And moreover, as I said, the material is arranged, it is organized, and it also gives us a fair idea whether we are able to understand, our thought processes, or we are able to arrange our thought processes systematically. And of course, it sets the tone and the framework of the proposal, and it provides a roadmap to the readers about what the proposal is going to be about. And it becomes easier for the reviewers to discuss, because there's not going to be one reviewer. There will be a panel of reviewers who will be referring to the proposal, who will be discussing about the proposal, and they are going to discuss on matters like whether the introduction is appropriate, whether the background information is appropriate, and so on. And the table of contents, becomes a reference material for the reviewers to discuss, to continue with the discussion. So with this, I would like to move on to the second part of the format of the proposal. So in the second part, I will start with how to write an introduction. And so in the introduction, we are going to say, what is the problem? So we are going to identify the problem first. That is the most important aspect of writing a proposal. First, we need to identify the problem. And when we have identified the problem, we need to begin with a general statement related to the problem. So most of the time, the problem is identified, but we do not know how to begin. So beginning with a general statement, which is related to the problem, is the most important aspect that we need to keep in mind while starting with an introduction. And then after that, we move ahead with the why we need to, what is the relevance of the problem into the present situation, why we need to try and solve this problem, what is the need, and then we are going to talk about how we are going to do it. So we have to explain the solution to the problem identified. So let me give you an example of this introduction. So let us start with the problem that is identified. So I have identified the problem as that there is a deterioration in the student's ability to communicate in real life situation. That is the problem that I have identified. So the general statement that I have written, the first sentence of the introductory paragraph, I have written a general statement. I have said that motivating students to write effectively, okay, and developing the cognitive skill, particularly the analytical skill, is a challenge for the language teachers. Okay, that is agreed by everybody, that is universally accepted by everybody. So it becomes a general statement. And then I move on to the particular problem that I've identified, the particular statement. And so then I also give the reasons as why this could be the main reason could be because of these factors. We find that the students are not able to communicate in real life situations. So once we have identified that what is the problem and how to start writing the introduction, now we can move ahead and talk about the relevance of the problem. So the relevance of the problem could be that it is not only true with the compulsory subject, because as I'm a communication skills teacher, so it is not only true for my subject, but it is also true for the other course subjects which are taught to the undergraduate students of engineering from the first year to the final year of college. So therefore, a change in approach is therefore felt necessary. So in order to enhance the thinking capacity of the learners, and also it is essential for the teachers to engage the learners in meaningful situations. So we can understand that how relevant it is to involve all the students in the learning process. So here once I have spoken about the relevance of the problem, now I move on to the solution to the problem. So considering all the above factors, the aim of the project is to introduce game-based learning as a teaching methodology. So that is my solution, that I'll be introducing game-based learning as a teaching methodology. So that the game-based learning, then I give you an example, or rather I give you the justification of why I have introduced game-based learning, or why I have thought about game-based learning, because it has been said by many researchers that it can lead to meaningful engagement of the learners. And moreover, the games, since they are actually enjoyable, they are learning by enjoying. So the concept can be actually taken in the case of the small children, when the child, right from the childhood, most of the time, they do not have the learning environment is always informal for them. They play and they learn. They acquire a language by listening to their parents or to the people around them, but it is all in the form of fun and enjoyment. So this can also be experimented with the students or undergraduate students, where an informal atmosphere can be created in the classroom, and that is how they can learn. So therefore, that is the concept. But then I have this research questions also that I have put it over here, as you can see. So I have the question that immediately comes to my mind is whether it is possible to introduce games in the classroom, or is it possible to develop the thinking ability of the students and to communicate in real life situation. We're using games as a teaching methodology. Now, these research questions, they are necessary because this will actually form the base of writing the hypothesis of it when we go to the research methodology section. So these are the questions that we need to put forward, and we also need to answer these questions and give a justification of how the games could be useful for the learners. So therefore, I'm saying the informal setting allows the learners to adapt themselves as they're more relaxed and they have the freedom to interact and share information. And also they can practice a skill with their peers. So this is the solution to the problem, and how I'll be going about doing this problem is by introducing games and also by designing activities where they learn how to do things, or they are involved in the learning process. And then now I move on to the second part of part 2, that is problem statement. So the problem statement, as it is a claim that outlines the problem, and of course it addresses an existing gap. So the gap here is that games have not been introduced for the undergraduate students of engineering. The undergraduate students of engineering are not involved in the teaching learning process, and therefore the learning or the thinking ability or the cognitive ability is not developed for the undergraduate students of engineering. So that is the gap that I have identified, and that this gap can lead to further research. And of course, when you have a generalized problem, that this problem is generalized across all over the country for all professional institutions, and I can target this generalized problem into a well-defined problem. So here I have written the problem statement. So does game-based learning enhance vocabulary development, comprehending concepts and thinking skills in the undergraduate students of engineering? So this is how the problem statement is written. And then of course I move on to the next part, that is the most important part of part 2, that is a background. So the background, we should provide a rationale for the proposed project. We should describe the magnitude of the research problem, and of course we should also identify the target population, and of course summarize currently available data, and then justify the study proposed. I'm going to deal with all these steps in detail. So let us start with the first one, that is rationale for the proposed project. Now when we are writing the rationale for the proposed project, we should begin by actually defining a topic which is known to the audience. Now the topic which is known to the audience, I have already identified the problem, I've already given a solution to the problem, so the audience knows that the topic that I'll be discussing on is about games. So I start with the topic that is already known to the audience, that games is not a new concept. To educate people and to train people, it is not a new concept. It has been used earlier also in the military and in the field of training employees in various organizations, as it has been found by the researchers, as proved by the researchers. I have given evidence of that also. And in the educational field, it became popular only in the 80s. But this education in India, of course, the idea of using it in the educational field, was not very popular. So, but this concept, came from the understanding of the psychologist Lev Vygotsky, where he talks about the need of the individual to evolve in interaction with people. So we need to interact with people around us. We need to communicate with one another rather than to sit at one particular position and only listen to the teacher. So we are not able to have a control of our thoughts. So we can, think of so many other things, because our mind cannot be focused for a very long time. It is not possible. So therefore, what happens is most of the information is not retained by the learners. Whereas if we allow them to involve in meaningful interactions, as said by Vygotsky, then obviously they can lead to cognitive development. That is, it can lead to the thinking ability, to sharpening the thinking ability. That is how they can come across, come up with an idea of solving the task or trying to find solution to the problem. So various things can be, activities can be done, or various games can be designed using that I concept. So this is an overview that I have given to the audience. And of course, I'm able to identify the topic that I'll be reviewing. So my topic is, I'm going to review about to what extent games have been used, at the international level and at the national level, what extent the games have been implemented in the education sector, and to what level they have been implemented. So when this information we give to the audience is quite familiar with this information, because they must have also heard about that, how games have been introduced in the class, or games have been used, in different ways. So everybody knows about games, so it is a familiar topic to the audience. So once I've given this overview, now I have to go for specific information. So I'm going to summarize the currently available data. So first I will go to the international level, and I'm going to summarize what the researchers have experimented with this game-based learning. So here I'm going to talk about the effectiveness of game-based learning and which level of learners they have experimented. And as you can see, most of the researchers have experimented with the schools, in schools, like creating activities and games, designing games for the school students. But when I'm proceeding, with my research work, that is searching and researching the relevant literature, I also need to make a note of whatever contribution the researchers have made in terms of the name of the researcher, then the year of publication, to which particular what is the target population. All these factors I need to make notes on, because that will help me to write the references, and of course that will also help me to understand the contribution that they have made to the research work. So, and this helps me to keep a track of what contributions I have, I can summarize, and accordingly it helps me in summarizing the currently available data. And sometimes, we need to copy, certain quotes, word to word we need to copy, but we need to make sure that we put them in quotation marks and cite the sources appropriately, without, missing out on any references. So that is very important. So most of the time what happens when I started with my research work, this is a project, of course, I completed my research work much earlier. When I started my research work, I did not understand the relevance of noting down the name of the researchers and the year, in which year they contributed, and even which journal they have published, and what was the target population. I did not understand the importance, and so it became very difficult for me afterwards, to again go back to what I have already done long back. So I had to repeat what I'd already done earlier, and then I had to extract the information all over again. So this kind of mistake should be avoided. So we should keep a track of what we are reading, and any information that we read, whether it is in the form of a book or whether it's the form of a journal, all this information needs to be noted down appropriately so that we can use it for our references later on. So after this, I'm going to summarize in India, what has been the contribution of game-based learning. So I'm going to talk about what kind of research has been done. And as you can see, the target audience has always been, school children. And moreover, it was in 2009, what Kumar experimented. He experimented in out-of-school settings. That means he did not experimented in the classroom with game-based learning. So it will be difficult for us to say that game-based learning as a teaching methodology, whether it's going to be successful or not. So from this, I come to the conclusion that game-like activities can definitely help in learning, but then we need to find out that whether it is going to be effective for the undergraduate students of engineering if I introduce game-based learning in the curriculum, and if I introduce game-based learning as a teaching methodology for the undergraduate students of engineering. So therefore, I need to be very critical when I'm talking about the background or the literature review, and I have to be consistent throughout. That is, I have to be very particular about the researchers that I've mentioned, and those researchers' contribution should be related to my work or to my topic or to my problem that I've identified, and not refer to all the research contribution which might in some way or the other be related to the implementation of game-based learning. And moreover, I have to be very particular about how I structure my ideas and how I logically present my ideas. That is very important. Now, let us move on to the benefit to the society. So in what way this study is going to benefit the people or benefit the students? So this will help the learners participate. They can interact with their peers, and they'll have more scope for discussion. They can learn from their peers, and they can go for collaborative learning. They can clarify the doubt from the peers, because some of the students might be hesitant to clarify the doubts from the teachers. So they are more comfortable with their peers. So therefore, this particular introducing games can actually allow them to work in groups, to work in association with their peers, and that is how the learning can be more effective. And this method will definitely enable them to overcome their writing difficulty, because we can design games, which are particularly related to developing their writing skill, think independently, and become more confident in communicating in real life situations. And it will help them in job interviews. And this study will also help understand the problems faced by students in other subjects also. The teachers will also have a better understanding of the students, will have a better, can build better rapport with the students, and it enhances the learning. And the research is basically to bring changes, to make changes in the teaching methodology in engineering colleges. Now I'm talking about the target population. The target population is going to be engineering students, and the area that I have selected is Navi Mumbai. It's quite a large area, Navi Mumbai area. So those who are aware of Navi Mumbai, there are many colleges in Navi Mumbai, engineering colleges, and it is essential that in Navi Mumbai, the teachers, they change the traditional concept of knowledge giving to that of knowledge sharing, and they become a facilitator and guide. So as you can see over here, I have stated, the target population as well as the area that I'm going to cover. I have specified it at the in the introductory chapter, in the introductory chapter. I mean, the main part of the report, or you can say the core part of the report, that is in the background itself, I have specified that. So you have to make it a point that when you are writing, a research proposal for funding, you have to choose an area which is not restricted to your college. You have to have a wider scope. That means you have to give an impression that it can be generalized. The problem, the solution can be generalized. So therefore, this area that you choose should be, quite large enough. And the sample size, I'll be talking about the sample size later, but then here I'm telling you the sample size that you select, that also should be quite substantial. So it cannot be, a sample of 10 to 15 students, and then you say that on the basis of this experiment that I have conducted on 10 to 15 students, I have generalized. Of course, you can do research on 10 to 15 students. There is no doubt about that. But when you are writing research proposals, to an external organization, to agencies, the agencies, they want, a large sample, because they believe that, the large sample can help, for making better generalization, for making adequate generalizations. So this point we have to keep in mind. So next, I will say that the background is the key to introduce the research topic. Here I have introduced the research topic, and of course a strong knowledge and thoughtful writing is necessary while we are writing this background. So because, as I said, we need to read research papers, many research papers, the contributions of the researchers, and you have to find out what is the most relevant contribution, or which contribution I can, quote in my background, or I can use it for the justification of the selection of my research topic. So that is very important. So now let us move on to the methodology part, and the second part, of the main part of the proposal. Now the methodology part, I'll be dealing with stepwise. So the first step is we have to identify a problem. So we have already identified a problem. And then this actually helps us in framing the research questions. So we have already framed the research question also, and this also underlines our aim. So we know what is my aim now. My aim now is to change the teaching methodology that is prevalent in engineering colleges, and to introduce a teaching methodology that will help, all the students to be engaged or to be a part of the teaching learning process. And then the step 2 of the research methodology is we have to select the type of research on the basis of the research question and aim. So on the basis of my research question and the aim of my the proposal, my research, the research type or the research design could be the experimental design, because I have to prove something. I'm proving. So I need, to 2 groups. I need to experiment on 2 groups, and I need to find out the effectiveness of this methodology methodology, whether it is actually going to work out in an engineering college or it will not work out in an engineering college. And if it works out, how many students, will be comfortable if this methodology is introduced, and how many students will not be comfortable, will be totally disappointed with this methodology. So all these factors need to be taken into consideration when we frame the research design. And then the third step is then we frame a research design, that is the strategy, where it will how we are going to go about doing a research, that is whether we are going to go for a simple random selection of students or a random sampling or a quasi experimental design or whatever. We need to find out from the strategy itself. And then of course we need to decide on the methodology. So and the implementation of the methodology will come in the last step. Okay, so over here I'll tell you that once we have identified the problem and we have framed the research question, now from here we need to write the hypothesis. The research question, I told you earlier, the research question will actually lead us to writing the hypothesis, will help us to write a hypothesis. And we all know that hypothesis is actually a prediction that we are making. So therefore, let us find out what are the steps for writing a hypothesis. So first we need to ask a question. Then we need to, of course, go ahead with our research work, and we need to formulate a hypothesis, and we also need to define the variables, the independent and the dependent variable. And we also need to write a hypothesis using an if and then statement, and we need to give a specific testable prediction. So hypothesis is giving a testable prediction, and whether the prediction can be tested and whether it can be proved. If it can be proved, then we say that we have accepted the hypothesis. The hypothesis can be accepted. If it is not proved, then we just reject the hypothesis. So here I have given a sample hypothesis. If games enhances cognitive ability, then experimental group will show an overall improvement in test over the control group students, as I've told you earlier. So depending upon my research question and my aim, I have to choose an experimental design, because I need to prove, that the implementation of this methodology will actually help the students in learning better or developing their cognitive ability. So this is the hypothesis that can be written for this particular topic. And then let us now move on to the methodology part again. So as in step one, I said, we have identified the problem. It will help us in the classification of research on the basis of the aim of the study. So whether we are going to go for an exploratory research study, that is identifying a problem and exploring the problems. It is only identifying the problem and exploring the problem. Or whether we are going to go for a constructive study, that is we are going to test the theories and offer solutions to those theories, or whether we are going for an empirical study, that is we are going to quantify our results. We are going to prove it systematically, quantify it mathematically or statistically, prove our results. And therefore it will be more reliable, and is that the methodology or the change in the system that we need to bring about can be easily accepted by the people, by the teachers. And then the types of research could be the descriptive research, where we describe a population, situation, or a phenomenon. And we have the correlational research, where we study the relationship between two variables, of course, statistically, and experimental research, where we establish cause and effect. What is the cause of this and what is the effect of this? So the games, what is the effect of game-based learning? What is the cause that led to game-based learning? What is the effect after implementation of game-based learning? What is the effect of game-based learning? And the relationship between the variables, which can be statistically proved. And then the step 3 is the research design. What are the key elements that we need to identify in the research design is the purpose of the study, the type of investigation, the sampling design, as I told you, whether we are going to go for random sampling, or we are going to just a simple random sampling, or we can go for quasi sampling, or then method of data collection. So whether we are going to go for quantitative data collection or qualitative data collection, how we are going to analyze the data, whether the data should be analyzed on the basis of statistical tools that we are going to use for our research, or we can analyze, without using any statistical tools. We can go for a one-to-one interview and we can analyze the data, and how we are going to interpret the data, and the timeline, how much time we will be using, or we'll be collecting the information from the subjects or the students. Okay, so that is very important, because we cannot do research within 1 month and say that, I have, identified that game-based learning is the best solution, and it can be introduced as a teaching methodology. We cannot do that in a period of 1 month. We need to evaluate, or we need to implement the methodology for quite a period of time, maybe for 1 year or maybe for 2 years, and then find out the effectiveness of that particular methodology. Then comes the research questions. So all these research questions are very important. So on whom to conduct from whom to collect the data, or what should be the data about, how to collect the data, all these are research questions that needs to be answered in the research methodology section. So with this, I would like to take you to the 3 types of methods of data collection. So one we have the qualitative data collection, and that could be in the form of case studies, interviews, observations, surveys, and the focus groups. And this type of data collection is non-empirical, and that is, we do not require any statistical tool in order to use this qualitative data collection method. And then the quantitative method is, of course, in the form of standardized test, lab and field experiments, and of course, we can use the Likert scale. So here in the quantitative study, we use, statistical tools, and we use mathematical, calculations in order to prove our theory, or in order to prove the experiment that we have conducted. So it is empirical research. And we have the mixed methods where we can mix both of them. So instead of using only quantitative, we can also go for a quantitative as well as a qualitative, and that will be very useful. So not only we are going for empirical research, we are also we are trying to find out the reaction of the students by conducting the interviews and giving feedback, where the students give the feedback about the implementation of the game-based methodology and so on. So it is a combination of empirical as well as non-empirical research. So in my study, I went for an empirical research, and in all the proposals that you write, to the agencies outside the organization, you need to go for an empirical research and not a non-empirical research, because non-empirical research will not be taken into consideration. It is an empirical research that will be taken into consideration, as they will be providing you funds, and so therefore they want an extensive research that need to be done, and moreover that research has to be quantified and has to be proved using the statistical tools. So that is what is expected from the agencies. So with this, I would like to take you to the resources. The resources would be, the third part of the parts of the proposal. The resources could be in the form of the facilities that is already available in that particular institution. So the agency would also like to know as to what kind of facilities that the institution can provide. So a detailed information of the institution should also be provided to this agency. And that, of course, all institutions, they agree upon, and they do provide that information to the agency. And then, of course, for example, the facility of a computer, the availability of a computer, then the other infrastructure required to conduct the analysis of the data. So all these aspects are considered to be the resources or the facilities that the institution can provide for conducting the project. Then, of course, we have the personnel, that is, who are the people involved in doing this project. So in my case, I was the only person, that is, I was the main principal investigator. I did not have any co-investigator for this particular project. But then I would suggest that if you if at all, you're planning to submit a research proposal to ICSSR, go for a, collaborative project. That is, you do take in, co-investigators along with you, because otherwise doing it all by yourself, it can be very difficult. It can actually have an impact on your health. As in my case, I really did face problems, while doing everything on my own. And not only, collecting data, actually, I was teaching in 3 different colleges, moving across Navi Mumbai, in 3 different parts of Navi Mumbai. And it actually became very difficult for me, to continue. But then I did continue. Of course, it had a toll on my health also. So therefore, I would suggest that if you have a co-investigator, you definitely can work together, and that will help you to ease out the process of collecting data, or the ease out the process of actually conducting your field experiment. So as a project director, you need to give a bio sketch, you need to give a biodata, and the co-investigator biodata also. So you need to indicate the expertise related to the proposed project. And of course, the resume should be short in 2 to 3 pages, not more than that. So you have to highlight the recent achievements, the recent publications that you have made. And any agency that you apply for, they always want research publications. So one has to be very, particular that you need to go for publications first, and see to it that you have enough publications, to your name, so that you can mention it, in your bio sketches, because that is an aspect, that they always look forward to when they sanction a proposal. Now, let us move on to the next aspect, that is the budget justification. This is the most important part of a research proposal. So finally, the how you have divided your budget and how you have been able to justify, the amount that you are seeking, very clearly you have to justify, and you have to be absolutely correct. So how you're going to do it, though it is only a prediction over here, because you cannot give the actual budget, but nevertheless, the prediction also, should be near to accuracy. So therefore, we can divide this budget categories, different categories. The first category could be the personnel. That is, when you apply for a research proposal, and the agency gives you the opportunity to have a research assistant, because they know when you are working simultaneously, it is not possible for you to conduct a project all by yourself. So therefore, you have the possibility of even hiring a research assistant, and the salary that you would like to give, but then it is also specified by the agency that how much salary you ought to give to this particular assistant, and what should be the qualification of the assistant, that is also specified by the agency. And then the traveling cost, as you will be doing field work, of course you will be required to travel from in Navi Mumbai from one college to the other. So you have to give traveling costs in terms of how many times you will be visiting the college in a week, how many times you'll be visiting the college, and accordingly you have to calculate, on the rates and the dates also. You have to give them the dates also, on which date you will be visiting the college, and so on. And then comes the equipment part. If you require any equipment, for the purpose of data analysis, you have to state that particular equipment that you require, how many equipments you require, what is the approximate cost of the equipment, and so on. And then you also need to refer to journals. Some of the articles in the journals, they have to be paid, and so therefore you have to you can quote, that this is the amount, that you will be required to, refer to books and journals that is available online, or maybe you need to purchase some of the books in order to give a, much better, a research project. So here, again, all these the categories that I'm discussing, the limit is already decided by the agency, and you have to quote the cost as per the limit that is decided by the agency. And then comes the stationery part. So the next part is the contingency part. In the contingency part, you can include the stationery, the paper that you require, the postal charges, or any other additional cost. You can mention it over here. You cannot include the cost of the books over here, but you can mention the additional cost, pertaining to, the different aspects of, your research. So this budget justification is very important, and a part of the budget will also go, a part of the grant will also go to the institution. Earlier, when in 2013, when I had given this proposal, the 7.5% was given to the institution, but now they have reduced, the amount that is supposed to be given to the institution from 7.5% to 5.5%. So last year, when I submitted a proposal, it was reduced to 5.5%. So that amount goes to the institution once the grant is accepted, or the grant is given to the principal investigator. So now we moved on to the next topic, that is the references. That is a very important aspect, the references. The references, it all depends upon the agency in which format they want me to write the references. So if they want in the format is APA, then we have to follow the American Psychological Association format. So if the format they want is Modern Language Association, that is the MLA format, then we have to follow this format. And if it is a Chicago Manual, then we have to follow this particular format. Now, ICSSR goes for Chicago Manual, does not refer to APA or the MLA format. So what I normally do is that once, while referring to the literature, once I collect information, so note down the information of the name of the researchers and the name of the journal where they publish, the year of publication, and so on. When I note it down, I just go to the to Google and type over there a free citation generator, and I select a Chicago Manual or whichever is applicable, and accordingly I put all the information, and automatically the citation is generated. So I don't have to waste so much time trying to figure out where the comma should be put, or where the full stop needs to be put, where we should use double quotes, and so on. So this is how we should maintain our record, so that we can use it when we require. And then, of course, now I go on to the unsolicited proposal. The solicited proposal is over, and now we go on to the unsolicited proposal. Unsolicited proposal, as I've told you, has to be more persuasive, and it is very difficult for the academician to write an unsolicited proposal, because it is not only identifying the problem, it is also convincing the particular organization or the agency that there is a problem, the nature of the problem, how you have to convince that. And of course, the agency has to accept the problem that you have identified, and it is also important that you also try to convince them by the solution that you're providing, because you are here to sell your product, you are here to sell your services, you are here to sell your idea. So therefore, the idea has to be convincingly put forward, so that the agency will accept, or the organization will accept your idea, will read through your proposal. Most of the time, there is a fear that your proposal is not read, or is not even looked at, when you're talking about an unsolicited proposal. So therefore, if you really want, your proposal should be actually read, or should be actually looked into, then we have to be very particular about the way we design the title, about the way we design the cover page, the front matter, the back matter, and the main part. Everything has to be done in such a way so that it automatically the concerned person is ready to read it, and also ready to accept your idea, and thereby accept accept your proposal. So here I would say that these are the points that we need to keep in mind. This is not in response to REP, that is request for proposal, RFP, and it is submitted to an agency. Definitely it is absolutely, it has to be new and innovative idea so that the agency will accept and read your proposal, and it has to be independently originated because the agency doesn't support you in terms of specifying the needs. So therefore you have to independently try and find out, anticipate the need of the organization, and on the basis of that you have to come up with an innovative idea. Then this is prepared without government supervision, and so this is more difficult than the solicited proposal. So here I would also like to say that we need to give justification for government support. Why are we writing the proposal? Why do we require the government support? Okay, that justification has to be given when we're writing an unsolicited proposal. And of course, it has to be beneficial to the agency's research and development, and it should not address a previously published agency requirement. So if it is something which is repetitive, the agency will not look into it because if it is a previously published topic or a previously published idea, they will never look at your proposal at all. And it should not be an advanced government proposal as well. So it has to be totally a unique idea that needs to be dealt with. So with this, I move on to the considerations for filing a patent. So I've completed proposals. Now I'll talk about how to file a patent. Now, before we start talking about how to file a patent, we need to first understand what is the meaning of patent. So what is a patent? A patent is an intellectual property right. I'm sure we all know about that. There are other intellectual property rights. For example, we have the Copyright Act, we have the geographical indications, we have the trademarks. So all these are the other intellectual property rights. And it has originated from the Latin word pater, which means to lay open for inspection. And these are the rights given to persons over the creations of their minds. And the creator gets an exclusive right over the use of his or her creation for a certain period of time, that is a period of 20 years. This enables people to earn recognition or financial benefit, and it is protected for a period of 20 years. So there's been no extension given after 20 years. So let us now move on to that what can be patented. So what are the things that can be patented? Most of us, we think that everything can be patented, but then it is not so. So there are certain categories, the first is the utility patents. So here the process, the process can be patented. Okay, so the process of doing a particular work, for example, the process of designing something, okay, that can be patented. A machine, when you design a new machine, that can be patented. And the manufacturing, the process also can be patented. And the composition of matter can also be patented. And then the design patents, we actually look at the look of an article can also be patented. And the plant patents, and here you try and come up with a new plant, a new variety of plant that can also be patented. Now, the patents are given to the particular design itself, whereas when we are talking about copyrights, the difference is that the copyrights, the design is already known to the public. So here the design is not known to the public, the idea is not known to the public, so it is absolutely new. Whereas in copyright, the idea is known to the public, but then we are trying to find out new ways of how to approach the idea, of how the idea can be approached in different ways. So for example, game-based learning has already been introduced. I have already said that it is not a new concept. It has already been introduced. But if suppose, I cannot patent the games that I have designed, I cannot do that because it is a concept that has already been known to the public, but I can go for copyright. That means I can, if I write an article, if I write a paper, if I write a book, I can go for copyright because the activities, the games that I'll be designing, that I can copyright. I can see to it that nobody uses or copies the same or activities, or even if they use it, they have to use it with prior permission. So all these aspects need to be taken into consideration. So let us find out what cannot be patented. what cannot be patented as frivolous inventions. The frivolous inventions could be related to the process, could be related to the machine, could be related to the manufacture, and also could be related to composition of matter. So this frivolous inventions means that means already it is known, it is already accepted in the public domain. So the public domain, people are aware of this, and still we are trying to file a patent on that. That is considered as frivolous. Then sometimes, some of the the designs, they could be against the law and morality of the particular country, and so therefore they are not patentable. So it could be injurious to public health. And then, of course, a formulation of an abstract idea. If it is something abstract which cannot benefit the industry, then of course it cannot be patentable. So let us now find out. So actually the best possible, when you file for a patent, we actually need to go to the lawyer. The lawyer will be able to help us out actually to find out, whether it is patentable or it is not patentable. So this kind of information, sometimes, there could be a very thin line of difference. There could be a subtle difference. So therefore, we may not have, accurate information about all these aspects. So the lawyer can help us out with it, what aspects can be patented and what aspects cannot be patented. So now let us move on to the criteria for selecting the patents. The first, it has to be novel. That is, and it has to be a new idea, absolutely new idea that the public do not know about it, that has not been published anywhere, or that is not accepted or read by someone. Okay, so it has to be a totally new idea, and it has to be inventive also. That is in terms of the technical advancement or economic significance. So there has to be an invention that is being made, and industrial application should also be there. So it should be useful for an industry, and that is the criteria of selecting the things that could be patentable. And then the next aspect that I would talk about is what are the steps to file a patent. So the first step is you have to conceive your invention. The second step is the patent search and drafting. How do we search, for information related to the patent, and how do we draft the patent, and of course filing the patent application, and then publication of the application, and then we request for examination also, and then we respond to the objection. There could be objections. There definitely, we should be open to the objections. So we have to respond in written communication. We have to respond to the objections, and then of course the patent is granted. So now let us move on to understanding all the steps in greater detail. So conceiving our invention. So the first important aspect is that we need to conceive the invention in which field we are going to invent, or the invention belongs to which particular area, which particular field, and what are the advantages of this particular invention, and how it can help to improve the already existing solutions. So once we have done a thorough study of the invention based on these three parameters, now we have to move on to the second part, that is patent research and drafting. So here the patentability search, that is very important, and of course it helps us in understanding whether the invention is novel or not. That is, whether it is unique, whether it is something that is not known to the public. And of course the Patents Act also tells us whether we need to conduct an extensive search, and whether we need to form a patentability report. So all these factors will determine whether we should go ahead with the particular invention, or the particular idea that we have thought of, whether we should go for filing a patent. So if you find that it is not a novel invention, or it is not a unique invention, then it is no point filing a patent, because we know that it is bound to increase the objections, or it is bound to be rejected. So therefore it is a wastage of time filing a patent. Now let us move on to the next part, that is filing a patent application. So once we find that it is a unique idea, and it has not reached the public, or nobody knows about this particular idea or this invention, all these aspects, when you have collected the information, then now we should go ahead with filing the patent application. So first we need to draft the application, and while drafting we need to make claims, okay, of why this particular invention invention is unique or how it will be useful. And then we also need to give you background information about the particular invention. And then, of course, we also need to give a brief description about the particular invention. And then we need to write the summary of the in the application. So then filing the application, once the draft is ready, now we can go for the filing of the application. Now the filing of the application will depend upon, of course, there is a time period, when we can file the application. And so you need to have the application form, and then we also need to have a provisional patent application, and then we also need to secure a prior date of filing. And of course, we need to, so that we get time to complete the specifications required. And suppose, sometimes a person would like to aggravate or to expedite, the filing the application. So he needs to, of course, pay a certain fee in order to file the application if he wants, that the process should move fast, or the process should be should move ahead very quickly. So otherwise, they can wait for a particular period of time to complete the filing of the application. And then comes the publication of the application. From the filing of the date of filing the application, after 18 months, the application can be publicized. And then early publication request, again, you have to pay a fee and see to it that you can expedite the publication request. And within 1 month, patent application for early publication is published. And of course, then we move on to the request for examination. So once the application is published, then we can wait, for the concerned authorities to examine the application, or we can even request the patent office to examine. So if again we want to expedite, this process, we can again have to pay a nominal fee, and then see to it that the process is expedited. And the normal request is between 48 months under Form 18, but then as I told you, that it can also be hastened, okay, so that we have to give a nominal fee and then go for an expedited examination. And then comes the response, the objections. So it is bound, when it is open to the public, so the public can, come up with their objections. So whatever objections are notified, to the applicant is expected to file a written response to the objection. And it could sometimes, it could be requested for a video conferencing, but then most of the time it is in the form of written response. And then comes the filing of the patent or the granting of the patent. The application would be placed for a grant once it meets all patentability requirement, and the grant is notified to in the patent journal published from time to time. And a post-grant opposition could also be filed within 12 months by notifying the controller. So that is also possible. So all these things need to be taken into account. So now let us talk about the types of patents. So we have an ordinary or non-provisional application patent. So where prior application is not submitted, and of course complete specification depicting the invention in detail is also not given. And of course this is just an ordinary application form that needs to be given, that is given. And then the other types of patents are the convention application. The convention application is like claiming a priority date and going according to the rules or going according to the conventions, going per as the requirements. And of course, we file an application in the Indian Patent Office within a year. So all these aspects need to be taken into account. And then we have the type of international application to where we need to streamline patent application process, and which is governed by the Patent Cooperation Treaty. So that means each country will have a set of rules to file an application, and we have to follow the rules of the country. So it cannot be, when we file a patent, it does not mean that it is across the world the patent is filed, and the patent is filed according to the country. So in a different part of the country, the same concept could also be again patented, or the same idea could be patented, unless of course we go for a patent, at the national level as well as the international level. And so this is validated up to 142 countries. But if you want it to go across the world, then we have to file, for an international application as well. So now we go on to the next one, that is a patent cooperation treaty, that is the national phase application. As I told you, it is filed in each country where the protection is sought. So it doesn't mean that if I file in my country, then all across the world, that particular idea is protected. Not necessarily, because if I'm filing at the national phase, then of course only in my country, my idea is protected. In other countries, that the same idea could be again patented by someone. It is not necessary that it is protected there. So if I want it to be protected at the international level, so I need to file 2 applications, at the national level application, and of course at the international level also I need to file the application. So this is filed within 30 or 31 months from the priority date or the international filing date. And this is one-time submission to apply for a patent through member states of the Patent Cooperation Treaty. And then comes the next type of patent, that is patent of addition. This is filed in case there is a modification of the invention which has already been applied for. And so if there is a modification, so I have already applied for invention, and if there is a modification of that particular invention, then I go for a patent of addition, and it is granted only after the grant of the parent patent. And there is a renewal fee is not required, because I am trying to file within a certain period. So therefore renewal fee is not required over here. And then comes the divisional application. The applicant wishes to divide the application, that is, he claims for more than one invention, and thus he files a patent in that manner. So now I would like to thank all of you for your patient listening. I know, like filing patents, it can be really a very tedious job, but once you have identified the invention, or once you've identified the idea, I would suggest that you should actually go to a lawyer and find out either the necessary steps that is required in order to file a patent, or what should be the next step, for you to do, because you're not going to remember all the steps. Now for subjects like literature and language, whatever, ideas we come up with, they are actually not patentable. They are actually, they come under the Copyright Act. So because we tend to, try and find out new ways of doing things that is already, the idea is already known to the public. So we only try to find out in what different way we can tackle the idea, or we can approach the idea. So that comes under copyright. It does not come under patent. The patent is actually trying to protect your idea itself. Now for language and literature people, we don't go by the idea itself. Most of the time we go for the, trying to find out different ways of the existing idea. So everything comes under copyright. So that we have to understand. And it might be, of course, there could be some people, who can come up with an idea, but it is rare in our field, in the field of language and field of literature. So it is more in the field of, people when they design machines, or they come up with a process. Okay, so it is more in the technical aspects, that a patent can be filed. And moreover, it should be useful to the industry. So therefore, in literature and language, whatever research work we do, whatever, innovative ways we think of, introducing for the students, that may not be of so much usefulness to the industry people. So therefore, it cannot be patented. So I would like to say that I hope this information was useful for you all. I would like to thank you for your patient listening. And I would also like to say that these are my contact details. So in case you have any difficulty or any doubt related to writing a proposal, you can definitely get in touch with me. So this is my YouTube channel link. The link of the channel will be posted in the chat box. And this is my phone number. You can always, contact me. This is also my WhatsApp number. This is my email ID. You can also always write to me if you have any doubts or difficulties regarding how to write a proposal. With, of course, patent, I will not be able to help you so much how to file a patent. As I told you, in my college, also in my institution, also, a lawyer is hired in order to help people who want to patent their invention. So I will not be able to help you so much with the patent, but definitely with the proposals, I can help you out. So in any case, you require any sort of help regarding how to write a proposal, you can get in touch with me. You can also refer to my YouTube channel for more ideas on research. So I have selected a teaching methodology over here. You can select any other topic. For example, you want to you have to identify the problem, observe the students in your class. That is what I do. I observe the students in my class. The students, we cannot say every year, we have a different set of students, and a different set of students means a different set of problems altogether. So if I observe them carefully, we can identify what is the problem that is faced by a particular student or particular set of students, and accordingly we can think of ways in order to solve the problem. So that could be a problem that is universally accepted to all. So in this way, we can go ahead with our research work. So with this, I would like to stop with my presentation. So if you have any questions, you can ask me the questions. I'll stop sharing now.
Ma'am, it was a lovely presentation, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The forum is open now. If you have questions, you can type them in the chat box. We are all eyes on the chat box. Please type them in the chat box.
Madam, have you posted my YouTube channel link, madam?
Yes, ma'am. I'm doing that now, right now, ma'am.
Anybody has any questions? I'm ready to answer your questions related to proposal writing.
Posted.
Yeah.
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There's a question.
Where is the question? Okay. What are the funding agencies? At the national level, you have Indian Council of Social Science Research. The head office is situated in New Delhi. In other states also, you have the branch offices, but then it is better to write your proposal to the head office because the grant amount is more over there. Whereas in the respective states, you have their office, but the grant amount is very less. So that is one thing that you need to take into consideration. And then for each university, the university that you belong to, all the universities will have the possibility of funding you for your research projects, whether in language or in literature. Like, for example, I belong to Mumbai University. So Mumbai University also has a provision for granting funds of provision for accepting proposals in the field of literature or language. But then again, the amount, the funding amount is not such a huge amount. It is quite nominal, but nevertheless, it definitely helps you to go ahead with your research. You have the DST, of course, but then it is related to science and technology. But then if you are associated with linguistics, so linguistics is considered as a science. So the certain aspects in linguistics, for example, when you're talking about cognitive psychology, or you're talking about natural language processing, or you're talking about the different neurolinguistics. Okay, so definitely you can apply to DST as well. But then DST doesn't take such topics throughout the year. It is only whenever they advertise for these kind of proposals, then there is a possibility that you can apply in this in DST as well. The funding in DST is very good, but the selection criteria is very difficult. It is not an easy task for your proposal to get selected, you have to be very thorough with the background. And moreover, you need to have, adequate publications to your credit when you are applying for a DST funding. So that is very important. Even for ICSSR, they demand for an adequate amount of publications, and then only they give the funding. Otherwise, they normally do not give funding, to people who do not have the required publications. So that is a very important factor that we need to keep in mind. So before even writing a proposal, we need to first of all, gather, our publications. We need to publish our papers in reputed journals. Either it should be in UGC CARE or it should be in Scopus Index. So ICSSR clearly mentions that your publication should be either in UGC CARE or in Scopus Index. And even in DST, they insist on the Scopus Index journals. The publication should be in Scopus Index journals. So that way you can go for applying. These are the only agencies available in India, so far as I know of. There are other agencies, international level, there are many agencies, but then, we are not allowed, to give the proposals to those kind of agencies. The one agency that I know of at the international level, that agency also has stopped, taking proposals from India. So then we have to look for other agencies. ICSSR is open for, collaborative research proposals, collaboration with other countries, but then we should be able to find out, somebody from the other country, from the specific country that ICSSR has collaborated with, and then we can write a proposal on the basis of that. I hope I've answered this question.
Ma'am, there is a question on can we publish our PhD thesis or can it be converted into a project proposal? And are there any permissions that need to be sought?
Sorry, what is the next part of the question?
Do we need any permission to publish our PhD thesis as a project proposal?
PhD thesis, you cannot take it up as a project proposal. You need to, you can take the main idea and you can extend the idea. You can make modifications in that particular idea. You cannot take the exact idea and convert it into a project proposal, because you have already, it is already published. So you cannot repeat the same thing. But you can take the idea and you can extend it. You can make it into something different idea, a little bit different you can make it. Or you can try and bring in more of, your data collection, try and expand your area where you're collecting your data. So that can be done. And our proposal was shortlisted by ICSSR and budget meeting was held. What will be the next step, madam? Okay, your proposal was shortlisted by ICSSR. When? It is a 50-50 chance of getting project. Please share your experience in getting project. Sorry, when was your, could you please unmute yourself, Ashwini? Ashwini, madam, could you please unmute yourself? You can unmute yourself. I think the participants can unmute themselves so to get a better understanding of what exactly the information they want. Is it possible for the participants to unmute themselves and ask question? No, ma'am, you cannot participate. No, but you have written over here that your proposal was shortlisted by ICSSR. When was it shortlisted? Which year are you talking about? This year it was shortlisted? Excuse me, ma'am, can you allow Ashwini to unmute herself?
Yes, ma'am. The participants are allowed to unmute themselves, ma'am.
But Ashwini is saying that
ma'am. This is Ashwini, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It was shortlisted by this year, ma'am. The meeting was held a week ago.
When did you submit the proposal?
It was 6 months back, ma'am.
6 months back. It was under the research project proposal?
Yes, ma'am. 5 lakh budget.
Okay, okay. Oh, it was a minor research project.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Did they advertise about this proposal? I mean,
Yeah, ma'am, we saw in the website.
it was, you saw in the website. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So once you have been shortlisted, so then they have called for a meeting, right?
Yes, ma'am. Budget meeting was done, ma'am. But
Uh-huh.
they said that it will be announced later. So
Uh-huh.
is that a chance to get, or kind of drop?
It all depends upon what kind of budget you have written, because the budget meeting was held means they must have approved the solution that you have provided, or they must have approved the proposal that you have written. But now they wanted more information about the budget part. That is why they have conducted a meeting with you all. So then you have to find out how appropriately you have to written the budget. What are the categories you included in the budget?
Just one research assistant and research supervisor, ma'am. That's it.
Research
Two of
assistant
them.
and
Research supervisor.
you wanted a research assistant as well as a research supervisor?
The research supervisor is the head. Under them, research assistant was needed, ma'am.
Okay, so you did not ask for anything else? It was not a field study?
Yeah, it was a field study, ma'am. It was about refugees in Tamil Nadu.
Okay. So no, but you did not talk about the traveling expenses and all was not included in your budget?
No, it was included, ma'am. We just asked for one research assistant alone.
Okay, but in budget, you have to include all these aspects. You have to include the traveling part. You have to include, the institution. The institution also should get some overheads. That also should be included.
Yeah,
So
ma'am, that was included, ma'am.
that was not included because
That was included, ma'am.
that was included.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So because you said only about the research assistant, you did not mention this. You have to mention all this also, that how the books that you require, suppose if you require any journals or articles, or how much amount you would like to spend in traveling, you require any equipment. So
Okay.
yeah, all these aspects you have to deal with all these categories, and
No,
it has to
okay,
be
ma'am.
an extensive, it has to be well explained, the budget. If it is well explained, then your project will definitely be selected. So in the meeting, what did they ask? What questions did they ask? Did they ask specifically
Only about the budget, ma'am. Specifically about the budget and how will you, what are the methodologies you will take? Like that they asked. Just for 10 minutes, the meeting was held, ma'am.
Okay, so I think they will accept your proposal.
Oh, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah,
That was my question, actually.
Yeah, they will accept. See, the topic, they're more concerned with the topic actually. What is the topic and the solution that you have, what problem you've identified and what is the solution that you have provided. If they're satisfied with that, a little bit here and there with the budget, they can ask you to modify also at the later. I mean,
yeah, ma'am.
That is not a problem. I mean, congratulations, madam. That is really good. That is really good.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes, hello.
Hello. Hi, I'm Dr. Shanti from Malaysia.
Okay,
I just want to check, is there any chances for us to do, to get a research grant to do the collaboration studies? Is there any chances?
There are chances. It's not that you cannot do it. You can do it. There are chances because ICSSR goes for collaborative studies, collaborate with many countries. And there are, schemes in ICSSR. When you go to ICSSR website, there are many schemes provided by ICSSR.
Right.
So, yeah, so there is a chance you can go for collaborative studies.
So how I need any context, which person to,
that is a difficult part.
Send our proposal and
that is a difficult part actually, because ICSR will not help you in that, to find the contacts. You have to find out the contacts yourself. So maybe you can write to, some of the universities, and you can write to people. You can go to the website, you can find out, the detailed information of the person and write to them and find out if they are also interested in that kind of studies. And that is how you can collaborate. Sorry, there's a lot of disturbance actually.
Yeah, it's not from here. It's not from here.
There's a lot of disturbance.
Request all participants mute the mic.
Yeah. Please mute yourself, all of you, because there's a lot of disturbance. I cannot hear. Yes. Yes, ma'am. So that part, you have to take the initiative of finding out, with whom you can collaborate. You can write to them. You can go to the website to the particular universities, and you can write to you can see the profile of the teachers, and accordingly you can write to them and see if they are willing to collaborate with you in terms of research. It becomes slightly difficult if you don't know the person. I understand that.
Ma'am, there is a question. Name some of the funding agencies for language and literature, ma'am.
Language, I've already said it is ICSSR. ICSSR does not give funding for literature. ICSSR gives funding for language. ICSSR gives funding for anything related to environmental issues, to social issues. So literature, of course, you have to go to particular universities. ICSSR will not give funding related to literature. Specifically to literature, that funding is not given by ICSSR.
Madam.
Yes.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am, and thank you for a very nice discussion. Just I have a query. That a project, ICSSR project was sanctioned to me, and I completed all the formalities and even submitted the write-up also. But still I'm waiting for the reply. I have not received any reply, and that's why my final submission is remained. So can you just guide me? I communicated to them, they just answered me to wait for the expert's view.
So that will take time, madam.
I submitted in last July 21, ma'am.
Yeah, it will take time. Sometimes it takes a year.
Okay, and
but they will definitely respond, because it all depends, like they should be able to identify the expert who can review your final report. Okay, so that will take time, to identify the expert. I think because of the pandemic, because of this situation, they're not able to find an expert. So that is why the delay, but they will definitely get back to you. So that is not, it is nothing to worry about. They will get back to you. Yes, anybody else with any questions?
Ma'am, just one question more. That when I'll receive their view, expert views, what is the process of last submission? Because I have also no idea of that.
It depends upon, what are the views of the expert. Most of the time, the expert, ask you to give certain, justification of the report. Okay. So some additional information might be required by the expert. And so you have to give this additional information. Once you give the additional information, then automatically, the remaining, the amount of the fund will be granted. They will be releasing the remaining amount of the fund.
Okay, and the it is submitted in a binding as we submit like our PhD thesis like this?
No,
it is in that format?
No. They don't require in that format.
Okay, fine. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so
At
much.
least in my case, they did not require in that format.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ma'am, thank you so much for your awesome energy. Actually, it's been like 2 hours and you're still going on with full energy. Thank you so much. We have to really appreciate your energy, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So can we wind up, ma'am?
Yes, we can wind up. If there are no more questions, then we can definitely wind up.
Question, ma'am. One more question, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I submitted one proposal to ICMR, ma'am, Indian Council for Medical Research, 2017, ma'am. But the showing like processing only, ma'am. But till now, I didn't get any message for granting the fund, ma'am. What shall I do? What is the next step I want to follow, ma'am?
You can do one thing. See,
Madam, I have a question.
Sir, I will answer this question first, then I will get back to you, sir. Sir, actually, madam, what you can do is when I submitted my proposal to ICSSR in 2013, I submitted the proposal. And it was till a year I did not receive any information from ICSSR whether my proposal was accepted or whether it was rejected. No information I received from ICSSR. So, I was also confused, what to do, because every time, the head of the institution used to ask me, what about your proposal? What is ICSSR doing? I had no answer. So then, finally, I decided that, I will take the same proposal and I will submit it to UGC. Okay, that time I thought I can submit it to UGC. So when I decided to submit it to UGC, that time I got a notification from ICSSR that your project has been selected. You have received a grant. So, sometimes it takes a longer period of time. With ICSSR, they go for double peer review, and therefore it takes a longer period of time. They have to arrange for a panel of reviewers, and then not only once, they have to arrange twice or thrice, and so therefore, it becomes very difficult, for all the panel reviewers to, come at one particular time and then discuss on the proposals, discuss on the solution that has been provided, the idea. And then that takes a longer period of time because it is a government agency finally. So they work, very slowly. But nevertheless, I feel, that at least ICSSR will never say that a project has been rejected. But nowadays, of course, they have become more advanced in the sense, they have started giving information on the website. So whether the results have been declared or not, all this information is given in the website. So we get to know that the results are declared. So if I have not received any notification, that means my project has not been accepted. So I get that notification. So earlier it was not so. In way back in 2013, they had no information that was given in the website. Okay, so that was it. And sir, you had a question, sir. So, madam, what I would suggest is, since you have already submitted in 2017 and you have not got any response so far, I would suggest that if you can submit the same proposal to some other agency, that will be better, because there's no point waiting, unnecessarily waiting for such a longer period of time. But when you submit to another agency, you take care not to, duplicate the same proposal. You can try and make certain changes in that proposal and make it a unique proposal once again. That is what you can do. Yes, sir, you had a question. So what is the question, sir? Hello, sir, you had a question? Hello, I think someone had a question here. I hope you can hear me, all of you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
There was a question. Are there any questions written in the same chat box? Any other question? The doctor, there is someone, like Pradeep Kumar, who wants to unmute himself. Maybe he has a question.
Very good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, sir.
It was a wonderful session, ma'am. Very fruitful session.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have learned a great deal from your session.
Thank you,
And,
sir.
I wanted to ask you 2 questions, ma'am. One is, how do you advise me to write a research proposal on literature?
Literature. Okay. In literature, like I would feel that, if you go for a comparative study, of maybe 2 novels, or maybe, 2 aspects in a novel, in a particular novel, the way, a particular aspect is dealt with in different novels, you can, compare. A comparative study will be useful. And then, if you can relate the comparative study to the present situation, that will be beneficial. Because to be very honest, I had written, 2 proposals, not 2 proposals, I had written 1 proposal. That was my very first proposal that I had written to Mumbai University, and that was related to literature. Of course, I compared, 3 novels. And in spite of that, the problem was, I did not know. That was the very first time, and there was nobody to guide me actually how I should go about, like submitting this proposal. And there was nothing, no, relevant information mentioned in the website also. So therefore, what I did was I put it in the, that was a hard copy had to be given. So the hard copy was given by the college itself. The hard copy was sent to Mumbai University. But in my application, in the cover letter, I did not mention, that it is specifically related to English literature. That was my mistake. So when I did not receive any information from them, I actually called, the concerned person, and the person told me, "Madam, what is your area?" I said that English literature. "We haven't received any proposal from English literature." That is what they said. So my proposal was just misplaced. It was thrown away somewhere. Maybe it went to some other category, and the person did not understand what I'd written. So maybe that person was kept aside or thrown away. I would say it was thrown away, because it did not reach the concerned person. So then we have to be very particular, that when we write a proposal, specifically, in literature, we have to state over there that this is a proposal meant for the English literature. State the subject. That is very important, because I have made the mistake myself, and I was very disappointed at that particular time. But nothing could be done. So then after that, I wrote a proposal to ICSSR, and that time I was very particular. Mumbai University, I don't know about the other universities, but in Mumbai University does not have a category for linguistics. They have a category for English literature, but not for linguistics. So linguistics, we have to go to ICSSR. We can definitely submit in linguistics, but then, it is uncertain whether it will be approved or not in Mumbai University. So when you write a proposal, first of all, you need to go for a comparative study and find out, the relevance of the problem in the present situation. That is very important. And once you relate it to the present situation, it becomes more acceptable.
Okay.
So,
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am, second question, ma'am. Could you please tell me a few sample topics on which we can work on in English language teaching to write a research proposal?
There are so many topics, actually. Hardly any research has been done in India when you're talking about English language teaching. There are innumerable topics. What I do is, when I have to select a topic, I just observe my students in the class. And on the basis of the observation, I try to find out, what kind of problems they are facing. So for example, when I wrote this proposal on game-based learning, even before that, I had already done experimentation with the problem-based learning. I had done experimentation with the differentiated instruction class. And I found that, I was not able to, I have done the experiment, but I was not able to, get an, desired response. So I wanted to come up with it, I wanted to find out what is it, that the students want. Why are the students, behaving in a very different way? Or why are the students not paying attention to the teacher? Why are they not performing well? So then I realized that, they are not doing it because they're so bored of listening to the teacher. They're so bored of, the one-way communication that is taking place. So in a differentiated instruction class also, they're not interested in that kind of, categorization of students, or that type of grouping of the students in the class. And it is not possible to implement it in all classrooms, because we need the setup of the classroom also. So therefore, I thought, what could be done, so that, they can enjoy, they can have fun, they can, feel as if they are at home. So what we do as teachers, we don't allow them to talk in the class. We don't allow them to use the cell phones in the class. So they use the smartphones in the class. We restrict them from so many things. I said, let me see if I allow them to do everything. Suppose if I allow them to do everything, let's see the response. And when I thought of this, I started reading research papers on how we can allow the students to do everything, whatever they want to do. They want to talk, let them talk. They want to have fun, let them have fun. How we can do that? And that is how I came up with the concept of game-based learning. So I would say that when you are trying to do research in your in language teaching, please observe your students in the class. What are the problems faced by your students? Now, another problem that I observe with with my students is they are, as per the curriculum, they are supposed to write a report. Now, we take so much effort as teacher to teach them the format of the report. What is the format of the report? How the report should be written? How the literature review or the background should be written? How you should be able to justify the topic and all the selection of your topic and so on. We give them extensive explanation on that, and still, the students, they just go to the internet and they just go for cut, copy, paste. Okay, that is what they do, and they do it in such a way that there is no link. First paragraph is not linked to the second paragraph. There is a jumping of ideas. Nothing, the sentences are not linked. One sentence from this research paper, the other sentence from another research paper, and that is how they put it together. So I have identified this problem. So I felt that, I should do something so that, like they are aware of what mistake they're doing, or they know what they are writing. They are forced to look back, go back to what they have written. So when I thought of this, how I could do that. So then I started reading research papers. When I started reading research papers, I came up with the concept that if I, use the concept of self-regulation, if I use the concept of reflective strategies, then I can definitely allow them, force them to go back. I train them in reflective strategies. I train them in metacognitive strategies. And so they are forced to go back to what they have written, to reflect on what they have written. And that could be an area of study. I hope I've answered your question, sir. There are many areas actually. So one needs to observe the students in respective classes and then come up with an idea. I hope I've answered your question, sir. Hello? Yes, I hope you can hear me, all of you. Am I audible?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I was muted. That's the reason why I couldn't respond. Now I'm unmuted. I really appreciate your felicity of expression, ma'am. I learned a great deal from you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I'll be in touch with you, ma'am. In fact, I've got your email ID and phone number. I'll be in touch with you.
Yes, sure, sir. Yes,
So kind of you, ma'am.
Yes, I will definitely help you in whatever way you want help. Yes. Definitely.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Madam, good afternoon, madam.
Are there any questions in the chat box?
Madam, thank you very much for elaborating your topic, madam. I'm Dr. K. Chakrapani from Andhra Pradesh, madam. Madam, regarding that, while you're presenting your PPT, the screens are not good at all visible to me because the headings are popped by some window or something. So I would like to request you, madam, could you please share your PPT to organizers? They will put into some WhatsApp group which we created.
Yes, I can do that, sir. Even I was facing that problem because there was pop-up coming over there, creating a disturbance. So I was also facing that same problem. But then that's why I stopped at the beginning itself. I stopped for some time so that it could be removed, but it wasn't possible, I think. So anyway, yes, I can do that. I can share my PPTs. Definitely, I can.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, good day. Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. Thank you for your active participation. I hope this session was really beneficial for you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Really, thank you from the bottom of my heart for your awesome energy and your patient answering of questions. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Can we go to the vote of thanks, ma'am? If you would allow.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay. Now I invite Dr. N. Ravi Kumar to propose the vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Good afternoon, one and all gathered here in one-day national workshop on writing proposal funding, writing research funding proposal and patent filing in English language and literature. Today, my words are not enough to express the gratitude on behalf of our department. I would like to thank our chief guest, Dr. M. Dr. Malavika P. Sharma, Assistant Professor, Pillai College of Engineering, Mumbai, who graced us with a thoughtful, provoking ideas with a set of perfect platform with us. Thank you very much, madam. With the innovative ideas of background for the research topic, methodology for data collection, patent filing, and how can be patent, and everything we have given a resourceful manner. Thank you, madam. I would like to thank our beloved principal, Dr. S. Balasamy, for all words of wisdom that eradicated source of energy with us. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank to the department who organized such a wonderful program. I thank to the convener of this program, Mr. K. Vijay Kumar, head of the department, and Dr. J. Kritigayani, Assistant Professor of English, who successfully coordinated the event. Last but not least, thank to all the participations of showing their interest in the event. Once again, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all. I've posted the feedback link in the chat box. Please fill in the feedback link. You please wait patiently and you will get your certificates within 10 working days.
Madam, someone has asked for my contact number. Can you also post the contact number? Can you type the contact number, or shall I do it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay.
Yes, thank you. The feedback links had been posted both in the WhatsApp group and also in Zoom. So kindly refer. It will be open for another half an hour. So kindly you can fill in the feedback link slowly, no problem.
Participants who are attending through YouTube, you can scan this QR code and you can fill the feedback link.
Participants who are attending this session through YouTube, please scan the page and you will be directed to the feedback link page. Sorry, we were not able to enable the chat option. So you can scan this page and your feedback link page will be open. Thank you so much.
I have already posted the my contact number in the chat box, but I suppose some of the participants are asking for the contact details. Okay, so if you have a WhatsApp group, could you please post it in the WhatsApp group also, my contact details?
Sure, ma'am. We will do that, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay,
ma'am. We'll post it in the WhatsApp group also, ma'am. We have 3 WhatsApp group, ma'am. So we'll post in that WhatsApp group.
Because they are all asking for. I did post my contact number, but still, they're asking for contact details.
Yes,
so you can do that. You can post it in the WhatsApp group.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
My PPTs also, I will share it with you all, so you can share it in the WhatsApp group.
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I did not make it for everyone. Okay. I'll just type to, I think, okay. How do I make it for everyone? Just a minute. Everyone in meeting. Okay. I'll just type it again.
There is an option send to everyone.
Yeah. I'll do it again. So I did not do that. Okay. 9821. Now everybody can see my contact number.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, participants, for having such an interactive session. I would like to thank you all personally because you have been very interactive. You have been asking such relevant questions. I thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your awesome energy. Really, For more than now, around 2.5 hours now, you have not even had water.
Yes, yes. I just give my email ID also. That is what they are asking.
Yes, ma'am.
So in case they want to write to me, they can write to me.
Yes. I'm sure you're going to receive so many calls, ma'am.
Okay, yes, yes. I hope. Okay. Ma'am, then can I leave now? The vote of thanks is over, right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for gracing this occasion. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So I'm leaving right now, right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Please do
And
share the
you will-
PPT.
yeah.
I'll make it available for the participants in the WhatsApp group, ma'am.
Okay.